Okay, so as I go along deciding what to take with me, I'll talk a bit about each thing, or anything I think might be vaguely interesting. Let me just see if I'm recording here as well. No, I'm not. So I've drunk my coffee and I'm about to pack up my room and, well, pack bits of it up. And as I go, if something interesting occurs to me to talk about that I think you might be interested in, I will do so. I'm trying to film in two things at once at the moment: my laptop and my phone. Okay, so maybe I should start. Where should I start? There's just so much. Maybe I should start with these little hanging things up here. They are... I ran out of ways to store and, well, not store, display safely the little people because, excuse me, they keep falling off the shelves. And so then I've always liked these little sort of milk bottle holders, and so I bought a couple of them. And they're more or less the right size for the little people. I'm going to take one down and I don't know whether to... Yeah, the thing is, I mustn't take too much to the new place. My problem is that I always do too much of everything. Every essay I ever did, every book I ever wrote, every song, every picture, every miniature. There's always too much detail, it's always too big or too long, and in my life as well. I suffer from an excess of, I was going to say humour. Like, I think in the Renaissance, if people were unbalanced, they had an excess of a certain humour. Yeah, I'm just a person of excess. So I don't think I can take this to the new place because there won't be room. Which is a shame. But anyway, I'll have to take the little people out. This one, if I remember, is called Lily, and her plaits never stay where they're supposed to. She was one of the Duckworth's younger children. Excuse me. I had this idealised family. I mean, I imagined this idealised family that lived in a bed and breakfast in some British town by the seaside. And it began with a little girl I wrote a couple of stories for, called Meg Duckworth, when I was about 9 or 10. And Lily is meant to be Meg's younger sister. I really like Lily a lot, actually. Yeah, this filming in 2 cameras is actually getting really difficult. So I want to go through this shelf and talk to you about each thing I take down, but if I do that, you can't see the thing properly in there. And do I film it in here and then try and splice this into that, which I don't know how to do. I think what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to film on this little thing now so that I can get the details of things, and then I'll come back and talk to you in here later. So here Then I've just unhooked, you can see these two little milk bottle, what are they, racks, containers, which I bought to put the little people in because I thought they were the perfect size. And I can't take them to the new flat. I can't take everything that I think is cute or is dear to me, or probably whimsical and irritating to other people. But and indeed, although my boyfriend has said to bring anything I want, I think he'll soon realise, or would soon realise, if I did that, we wouldn't be able to move in there before long. So I'm just going to have to take some of the little people, and I'll have to take a lot of stuff home to Wales. I should have boxes today to put the things in that I don't want. Maybe I should go and buy boxes before. Yeah, I guess I should. Okay. Oh, but then I'll lose the daylight. Okay, I'll do boxes later. Now this is Shabana. I really like this little figure. I love the colours of her. As you can see, however, these little figures, besides the fact that I was learning as I made them, and each figure is the only version of that figure, so, and each figure is different, so more or less. So the problems I had with each figure, I didn't learn to master, if you see what I mean. I didn't make a couple of them, of each of them, to get around the problems I faced with each one. Mainly those problems included involved the clothes. Anyway, this is Shabana, and I really love the colours. I love her face. I like the way it looks. I like the way it seems to be carved in wood, and like a little puppet. And it's not the typical type of face I model. There isn't actually a typical type of face I model, but in all the different faces, there is a kind of character or feel running through it, but she doesn't have that, and I really like that about her. Also, I just love the pink of her jumper and the blue of her skirt, and I'm not very happy with her shoes. I'm not very good at shoes at all, but I really like her little plaits as well. So I'm debating whether to take her to the new place. I think I will, and the models I'm going to take to the new flat I'm going to put here. So I'll put the top on this bottle again. Now the next one is Gilbert. I think Gilbert has to come because I just love him so much. His ear's broken. You can see that the Fimo is really not that, it's not that strong. And these little figures are really meant not for handling, not for, although I made them to be posable, I've posed them far too much and lugged them around in bags. And what I'd love most of all is a cabinet for them, and I've tried to find a cabinet, ideally something like an old printer's tray, you know, with the lots of little compartments in it, but also with a door that closed at the front. But those printer's trays have square compartments that are far too small for the little people, and they don't have doors at the front. I tried, as you can see with this little box with the mirrored back, to house some of them, but it's just, actually that was to carry them busking. I never went busking, but in case I did go busking, I was going to carry some of them to try and advertise them so that people would see them and then I could possibly make some to make money, because even though I went to the bother of, and it took many days actually, to upload all of them to Etsy and try and make a shop, the thing was nobody knew about the shop. Whereas if I, in real life, if I met them and they saw the little people, that might have been a way to make money. Although I must confess, I don't actually enjoy making these people at all. I find it pretty stressful and I get kind of tense doing it. So it's not a great or an ideal way to make money. And I don't think there would ever be quite enough demand for me to make a living from it. Anyway, Gilbert's coming. Unfortunately, he needs to be mended as well. Then there's this, I wonder, I've forgotten a lot of the names of these little people. I really enjoyed thinking up names for them. All of 10 years ago now, when I made them. Names are really important to me. Oh, there goes another shoe. And always have been. Since I was a kid, I thought very, very hard about the names of things. I think this girl is called Sally, but I'm not sure. I was very disappointed with her, the way her outfit turned out, but I like the colours. Colours are really important to me as well. The combination of colours. So, Sally's shoe has fallen off. She won't be coming to the new flat, so I'll place her here. I should probably put them in some sort of box, I guess. Well, I have to do that later. Okay, so next up is, I think this little girl is called Jasmine, and she's so tiny and so delicate. I love her little hands in particular. Her legs are a failure. Failure, as my dad would say. It's a family joke. But I really love her little face. I wish this camera would focus. Okay. I love her face. I like the colour combination again. I like her little hairstyle. I think she can come. Ah, and here is Meg. Now, Meg is... Hang on, if I can get her out. Meg is one of my favourite models, and she starred in quite a lot of the children's stories, which, as I'll show in a different video, I effectively illustrated in inverted commas by taking photos of some of these models. Excuse me. And Meg starred in a lot of those stories because she just seemed perfect. But unfortunately, because she's been handled so much, she's broken, she's dirty, she really needs to be made again. But I think if I made her again, I would never get such a dear little face. Her face to me seems perfect, and it was just how I wanted it to be. And believe it or not, her hairstyle was incredibly difficult to do, at least it was for me, because I'm really not very good at wigging these little figures. And also, she's the original. I just know if I made another Meg, it wouldn't be as good, as imperfect as she is. But when she was made, I was so happy with her when she was first made. I don't know whether to take her to the new house because she's so old and broken. I think Meg will have to be archived, as it were, unfortunately. Although Little Pixie, who is another one of my favourite models, I am going to take. I actually went to the bother of kind of refurbishing him a year or so back. I made a new fleece jerkin, I kind of mended his legs, cleaned up his hat as best I could, because he starred in, I think, if possible, even more of the children's stories than Meg, and so was photographed even more than Meg. But these hands, they're actually not his original hands, and his arms are broken. They're just blue tacked to his sides at the moment, so he would need to be fixed as well. I'm going to take him just for now, just because he doesn't look as dirty as Meg. And then last of all, who have we got? Oh, Lily. Yeah, Lily is lovely. I don't know if it came out on the video I made before, because I think my laptop lost, or this phone lost it, but she is one of the younger children of the Duckworth family. Meg is the protagonist of the Duckworth family, a kind of idealised family who live in a bed and breakfast house by the seaside in some unnamed but generic British seaside village. And Meg, in the stories I wrote about her when I was about 9 or 10, had various very simple but funny adventures, and Meg just seemed, I don't know, even the name as well, that it just seemed sort of perfect to me, like an archetype. But then, because I love the family so much, initially I think there were just 2 children, or 3, yeah, no, there were 3, an older sister and a younger brother. But because I loved the family so much and the mother and father, I couldn't help myself making more additions. So now I think there are, if you look on my website under the Duckworth section, there are about a good 7 children, and Lily is supposed to be one of the younger children, though in fact she's almost as tall as Meg. And poor Mrs. Duckworth would have been, you know, breeding like a bunny rabbit if it was all real. But you know, it's idealized. And anyway, so Lily is coming because I really love her. And so that's that milk bottle tray done. And now I'm going to do the second milk bottle tray, which is slightly different. Actually, this is not milk bottles, this is little jars. I really like these as well. And I'm going to kneel down. I think I might even, yeah, so this is, I was going to say leave them in the jars if I'm not taking them to the new flat, because it will keep them safe for me to take back to Wales. This is, I can't remember what his name is. Walter. I really love Walter. I think Walter was the younger brother of Meg. And I love his little expression, sort of winsome. Is winsome the right word? Kind of a bit melancholy, the way little kids get. He's supposed to be about 2. I love his kind of, you can see his neck's broken. He's in really bad shape again, as lots of the models are. I haven't taken very good care of them and moved them around too much. So he's in too bad shape to come. Okay, he can come. I think this is Pippin. He's one of the very small models I made. Yeah. So let me see if I can unscrew this with one hand. No, I can't. So I'll try and balance this between my legs. Unscrew this. So Pippin is one of the little pixies. They're not supposed to be a real person. And so Pippin can come. And then we have, oh heck, this is a tiny model, and I think he's called Bilberry. And because he was so small, I really struggled to make his all-in-one suit, and it's always been a bit of a mess. I really like his crossed little face though, and his little hat. But he's not good enough to come, so he'll have to go back to Wales. Then there is, I think this is Maisie. It's amazing how the names are coming back to me. I'll just take her out for you to see. Maisie is not one of the Duckworths, but one of their friends. She's supposed to be a toddler who's about, don't know, 2 or 3? Yeah. Then there is, don't know the name of this one, but he's in pretty good shape as well, because with the pixies I haven't handled them much. I think I substituted different arms for his original arms though. Yeah, they're a bit big. I think this is, oh gosh, Skip, I can't remember. On the website the name will be. So because he looks reasonably clean and new, he can come. And then there's, oh, I think this one was Happy. I think this little pixie was called Happy. Unless I'm wrong. Hang on. Again, his ear's broken. I really like the colour combination on this one. It's kind of slightly acidic and jolly. What is the name of this one? I can't remember. His fingers are supposed to be pointed in glee. Okay, so I'll leave him. Now, oh, the weather's changed. I thought the sun wouldn't last very long. Right, I may as well, which should I do now? The figures on these shelves or the figures here? I think I may as well do the figures here because there are less of them. So, right, this is Mrs. Partridge, and her outfit was the most elaborate I ever made. And gosh, her hat was actually quite fun. I never made a hat before. There's a name, isn't there, for people who make hats? It's a special, it's an art all in itself. So Mrs. Partridge is supposed to be, as you can see, a grand lady. I just literally kind of, you can see the glue on the back, not great. There's cotton wool inside that bustle. I did not make a pattern for this dress because the thought of it filled me with horror. Oh, and I had to make one leg, like not a proper leg, so she would stand up. She just never stood up otherwise. She initially had a proper shoe, but anyway. So I literally just grabbed fabric, and this is actually really beautiful. I think it's water silk. No, is it something silk? Grabbed it, sort of kind of clenched it in my hands and glued it in place, and it actually looks, if you don't see the glue bits, pretty good. I was so chuffed with this outfit. And also I love her face. She doesn't have a chin. She has a kind of bird-like nose. I like her kind of slightly tarty face, her hoop earrings, hair. I just really like her. She's just such a cool character, and she's very haughty. So she can definitely come to the new place. Then we have, excuse me, Miss Deadly Nightshade. And I really like her as well. Obviously, she's meant to be a bit sinister. Actually, it's Miss D Nightshade, I think, on the website. And I love her kind of deathly lips and the ugliness. She reminds me a little bit of some of the characters in, oh gosh, what is that black comedy? Oh, those two men that look kind of similar and they really freak me out. If I remember, I'll write it in the description box. Is that right? That sounds like you. That's what YouTubers say when they can't remember things. So Miss Deadly Nightshade has a tweed suit. This jacket actually I did make from a pattern, and the skirt, although you wouldn't believe it. There's darts in the waist and it's fitted, and that's a pipe cleaner draped around her shoulders, but it's meant to be a fur. And she's a very cool, icy little customer. I wonder whether she should come to the new flat. Yeah, she can come. And then we've got one of my most beloved characters, Alfred Witt, who I was so pleased with his name. It just seemed to sum him up, and I just love it. Oh, his hat. I've lost his hat somewhere. Is it up here? He has the, oh, what a shame. It's probably, oh, it must be around somewhere. It's a really cool battered brown kind of, I don't know how to describe it, but it's a gardener's hat, and he's a gardener, and he's actually got soil on his hands, and I'll try and show you, on his apron. But when I also made greeting cards by photographing these models, he didn't photograph very well because the black didn't come out. But on video, he seems to be okay. So anyway, he's got these lovely kind of wispy white beardy bits, and his face is just so happy and friendly. And oh yeah, he's got soil on his boots and his old shirt and waistcoat. I think this even might have been real waistcoat material, the back and the front. And yeah, his shirt's open at the front. I don't know whether to take Alfred. Oh, I love him so much. He'll have to come. Then there's this guy I was quite pleased with myself because he's very neat. I'm not a very neat model maker, but his outfit is pretty pristine according to my standards. He's kind of, I think, meant to be, well, I imagine him being from the kind of, possibly Shakespeare's day, really. And he's smoking one of those long pipes and has those really cool little shoes, a velvet jerkin or waistcoat, and yeah, I think he can come because I forgot his name. I think it might be Edmund. Then there are these two little figures here who, as you can see, I displayed in little jars. I don't know whether to bring the jars. Would it take up a lot of space? They're quite cool in the jars. It wouldn't take up that much space in a new room, would it? Although because the flat will be rented, I can't put a nail in the wall. But I can hang them over something. These are 2 of the 7 dwarfs. I think this is Gabriel. Again, I'm so happy with the name Gabriel for him. It seems, for me, letters have colours, and so names have definite kind of atmospheres. And for instance, Gabriel is like an orange, a red, browny, green, blue, yellow and blue. But overall it's a very sunny feel. Maybe that's because the Archangel Gabriel is, I always, of course imagined him in heaven and flooded with sunlight, but also I just think Gabriel suits this sunny little dwarf. This one is, I think he's Jeremiah. No, because that was one of the cobblers. Josiah. No. Maybe a Simeon. I can't remember. On the website, the name will be there. So there's the 2 little models I made recently. Might have to turn some lights on in a minute. I'm not going to bring those, but I am going to bring Mrs. Eyebright. She was another model that I was really pleased with and turned out well. I love her in profile. I love her little pointed nose and mouth and twinkly eyes, but tiny eyes. And I love her long, thin body. And I really took care on her. I even made her a little stockings. You can see the stockings. Bloomers. Petticoat, and I bought the bag. I just didn't have time because I was making literally hundreds of these models. I just didn't have time to make everything, although I guess I could have. But she, like Miss Deadly Nightshade, has a brown wool, supposedly fur shrug. Is that shrug? And the same tweedy material, which was so useful. I think which made Miss D Nightshade's suit, and also I think Alfred Witt's trousers. She has very delicate little boots, and I was really pleased with her hair as well. As I said, I find the wigging so difficult. The parcel I bought as well. So old Mrs. Eyebright can come, and then we have, oh yes, I love this. I think this is Mr. Milton. Yes, it is. Mr. Milton also was a good day. I was having a good day when I made him, and he turned out just as I wanted, except his hands are a bit big and clumsy. The little tools I bought in a doll's house shop and slipped them into his pocket because he's a gardener. But the scarf, the shirt, the apron, they're all incredibly neat for me, and the hat turned out really well. I find hats difficult. He's supposed to be surprised by something. So this hand is supposed to be sort of stroking his chin. I guess he's kind of a yokelly countryman. And I really like his trousers, too long, and even the string tying his apron. Even the back of him is pretty good, and that's kind of, there's a bit of glue there, you can see, kind of unusual for me because, as I said, learning on each model how to make each model as I went along and doing hundreds, I just didn't have the time to make them perfectly. I was on a mission, as it were. So Mr. Milton can come, and now we come to, I think I'll have to put a light on. I wonder if this will help. Does that help a bit? Tiny bit. I guess I can put the light in here on. And that brings me to wondering whether I should bring this little light. I love it so much. I think I will. So I'll bring this little, oh, okay, Dinah. I think this model is Dinah. She's fallen off. I think I'm going to bring this little street scene. In photographs, the light looks lemony, but in real life, it's goldy. It's a shame how the camera distorts things. The only problem with bringing that, though, is it's quite delicate to pack. So, yes, these larger models, I actually found a lot more difficult to make. I made them one winter when I was kind of stuck at home, quite a few years after I made most of the other models. And, yeah. I don't know why I decided to make bigger ones, just to see if I could, I guess. And it was harder. You wouldn't think it was harder, but it was. Both modelling the faces and dressing them. But Dinah can come to the new place because I like her. And then there's the witch. And yeah, the witch can come. She's such a good character. She was one of the original models. Sorry, I just got a low battery sign. Very dusty at the moment. It's really difficult dusting these models without damaging them. I love the witch's face. She's actually pretty frightening, really, like a man. A woman that looks like a man. Like, actually, a person you wouldn't know whether it was a man or a woman. And she's got a ragged hem. And her hands are shaped like that because she was actually sweeping with a broom. But I've lost the broom. So she can come, and her cat, which has lost a leg. Yeah, her cat will have to go home. At the moment I'm not doing very well. That should be the pile to go home, and that should be the pile to take. Oh, I better turn the light off in here. So, I'll see if I can just record these last few bits before my battery runs out. This is Guinevere, and I tried to make a beautiful model. The light looks nice on her there. And a kind of medieval model. I did not know what I was doing with her hair. I just made up the hairstyle. And at the back, it was quite interesting. But the other day I cut off the other long plait to make the hair of those two little figures there, because I couldn't be bothered to wait for new hair in the post. But let me just put her here. But at the back of Guinevere's head initially, the one coil ended in the plait that draped over the front of her body, and there was another long plait that came down the back here, but I cut it off. Anyway, I was very happy with her face and her hair, but her outfit was really, I didn't want to be making it, you see, at that point. And this is lace covered with gold paint, which looks awful. And I did not know, I wasn't sure what shoes to make for her. In the medieval days, I thought women might bind their legs. I don't know where I got that idea from. Instead of tights, I should have just made shoes and sculpted legs. It would be easier. And the dress is a mess. But I was forcing myself to finish it. I ran out of inspiration after making her head, basically. So should Guinevere come? No, I think Guinevere is in too bad a shape to come. You can see her legs are falling off. Or is it Gwendolyn? No, it's Guinevere, I think. I like to think maybe this is how King Arthur's wife looked. In the medieval days, they loved women with fair skin, often golden hair, and grey eyes. They talk a lot about grey eyes. It's really interesting, or fair eyes in any case, but often grey. I don't think I've ever actually seen someone with grey irises. But, anyway, Guinevere is going back to Wales. Then we've got my little fake nest. I think I got it from Tiger. Then we've got three other models. The last of the larger models. And they're quite heavy, actually. There's a lot of modelling clay in the torsos. I'll put them on my pillows here. This one is Lucy, I think, and I was very happy with her face. Her shoulders are a little bit big, and the dress in general. The one benefit of making the larger models is that fabrics really, it's easier to find fabric that looks natural on them, both in terms of thickness and pattern size. So Lucy can come to the new flat, sorry, and Ruby. Ruby is possibly my favourite little model. I mean big model. I love her hands, I love the cardigan, I love her dress. I was in the zone when I was creating her, and hence nearly all of her shoes are not great and legs, but nearly all of her is good. So Ruby, I think she's called Ruby. Now, this little guy, I really love his head. Well, most of it. His face. He's meant to be a little boy, maybe from a Hans Christian Andersen tale, in his nightgown. But again, because I lost inspiration making the body, his leg has fallen off. You can see his foot. I really didn't try hard. I almost couldn't bear to finish it, and hence, you know, the awful state of the nightgown. So I think I called him Peter or Pietra, or I imagine him to be Swedish anyway, but unfortunately he's just in too bad shape to come. So he'll have to go home as well. And then that's clear of little models up there. Now, I think there's just one little model up here. Yes. He is, he's called Obadiah, either Obadiah or Jeremiah, because he's part of a pair of shoemakers. And I really do love the shoemakers a lot. They turned out well. There's the little leather shapes of the shoes that he's making. Hello people. The problem I'm finding is that I can't show you in detail what I'm looking at in this camera. But when I'm using this, it's hard to talk to you and keep flipping it round all the time. And as I go through things on the shelves, as I take them down, see, I have to keep adjusting this. I want to go through this shelf and talk to you about each thing I take down, but if I do that, you can't see the thing properly in there. And do I film it in here and then try and splice this into that, which I don't know how to do. I think what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to film on this little thing now so that I can get the details of things, and then I'll come back and talk to you in here later. I think that's the best thing to do. It's now evening time. I love my room in the evening when the light is like this. And I like the street as well. The sky is really nice tonight. Not many more evenings I'll see this view. Still no birds have come to my little bird feeder. Actually, I don't see birds in this garden very much at all. Okay, so I've just taken 3 little figures from this space on the top shelf. And these are the 3 figures. There's an old woman in her nightgown, slippers and a shawl. And I can't remember what her name is. I think it's just Grandma. She stars in one of the children's stories called Grandma's Piano. And she's going to go home to Wales. Then there's a Russian nobleman. I think he's called Vasily, or it's Vasily. I'm not sure, but he can come to the new place because he's clean and new and not very broken. And then there's a drunken sailor who I'm very fond of. And he did have a jar, like a ceramic sort of amphora, but I lost it. And I like his little plait. And yeah, and his 5 o'clock shadow. So he can come to the new place. And now I've got the little people in this jam jar here. One of my best little people, I think. The top of one of his ears has come off, which I call the jailer, because he holds some keys. He did have more keys, but some of them have fallen off. And I think I might keep them in this jam jar, though whether I will take all of these people, I don't know. In fact, there's a little girl, I can't remember her name, Daisy I think. There's Ben, who stars in the children's story When the Night the Moon Went Out, which was originally called Eclipse. And the jailer. And I don't know whether to take all 3 to the new place. Why not? Why not? At this rate I'm taking much more than I'm sending home. Then we've got the washerwoman, who I really love. She's curtsying. A dainty little curtsy. She's got nice yellow striped tights. She's holding up her pinny. I bought the hat, but cut it and sort of modified it to fit over her bun. And she can definitely come. Then we have Mr. John Bull and the Wanderer, or the Tramp. And I'm fond of both of these such a lot, they both have to come. Mr. John Bull turned out perfectly, i.e. just as I wanted him to. And, oops, he even is reasonable from the back, although not the top of the jacket. You see, that's the problem. You have to modify, with suit jackets, there were patterns, I used paper patterns, but you have to modify each of them such a lot for each different figure. It was a bit of a nightmare, to be honest. And then there's the Wanderer with his fingerless gloves, rope belt, toes peeking through his sandals, ragged rat's tail bitten trousers, his knapsack, his ramshackle hat, his wonderful red curly beard and turned up nose. And I love him very much. He's a bit fragile and has broken quite a lot of times actually, but he can come to the new place. Then we have Beth, who I think is one of the prettiest models I made. Her face is so kind of angelic really, and her buttons have come off. I think she's like a sort of milkmaid. She's very countrified. She's got little clogs on, and I love her simplicity. She can come to the new place. And then there's Skip, one of the best pixies I made. Sadly, he's lost a bit of an ear, but he can definitely come to the new place as well. He's just so happy. And then there's old Mr. Jeremiah. Yeah, there's a model called Jeremiah, which is this one. I think I'll have to put another light on. Hang on. Does that make things better? A bit, yeah. So this model is called Jeremiah, and he goes with the other, the shoemaker I showed you earlier, which should be here somewhere. There. Yes, they're a pair. They go together. They have similar clothes. They're both shoemakers. They're both old. I think of them as twins, Jeremiah and Obadiah. Not really sure which is which. But I think this little man is better than this one. This one's arm is coming off as well, so he needs a bit of TLC. So I'm going to send him home. It's a shame to part them, but they will be reunited at the last. So this is Mr. Jeremiah, not Jeremiah. And he's a very jovial old chap. And I'm not sure. Seeing as I have to be ruthless, I think he'll have to go home, sadly. Then there's Mrs. What is her name? Airedale? She's she did have a pair of lorgnettes, you know, those glasses on a kind of stem, but they were soft lead and snapped. And she did have dropper earrings, but they've fallen off. And you can see the little brooch, the blouse, the ruffling, the tweed skirt, or supposedly tweed skirt, and the cardigan. And I'm very pleased with her hat. As I said, each hat was a completely new adventure and undertaking, and I'm really happy with the one with how this worked out. I can't and her hair, actually. I can't remember how I got the hat to curve like that. Maybe, I think I must have glued it to her head like that, because no amount of spray starch would have done that. Then we've got Bo Peep, which I think is one of the most exquisite little models I've made. Even though the paint is coming off her face a little bit now, I really do love her, and I love the way she's not particularly friendly. She's got quite an arch expression. Yeah, I think my mum sewed this, I think, the smocking, to make it look like, is it called smocking? Yes. And this dress has a very tiny pattern, I don't know if you can see that. And I glued very fine lace to her wrists and hands to mimic fingerless gloves. And the hat doesn't look difficult, but it was. And I think I made her shepherd's crook from wire painted brown, but she's one of my most favourite models, so she has to come. Then there's Maria, who stars in the children's story When the Lights Went Out, about a little girl staying with her great aunt Rose, and Maria is great aunt Rose in that story. And her cross, which was so difficult to make, the necklace has broken. But I do love her face, and I love her plait. I think of her as German or Austrian, probably because of the little clogs, her house shoes. Oh, I love her so much, she has to come. Then we've got the lady who lives in the Swedish house, which I based on the, is it Carl Larsson? No, it's not Carl Larsson, it's the Emil stories. Emil's Pranks, Astrid Lindgren. There's one of the books there. And the Swedish doll's house, which I'll show you another time. Well, I'll show you a picture of, because I don't have any of the doll's houses in London. That's an illustration from one of the Astrid Lindgren books as well. And that's Emil, the main character, a little boy who gets into lots of trouble. And this is his mum. And I'm pleased because she does actually look a lot like the mum in the books. She stars in a story called Greta the Great, about a little girl living in Sweden or Norway or somewhere where the lights the nights are very, very long in winter and the days are very short, who's afraid of the dark. And this lady is the mum in that story. She's going to go back to Wales. Now we've got Jem and Ernie, I think. These two old medieval guys having a natter. At one time I captioned these two the grapevine, because they're obviously spreading some sort of gossip and having a whale of a time doing it, and I just love them so much. Their faces were they're very simple, but sometimes I discovered the really simple faces with the big simple shapes and lines are actually harder to model than the more intricate, realistic looking faces, which you wouldn't imagine. Anyway, Ernie and Jem just have to come with me. Then we've got a king, a fairy king. I imagine him in some sort of fairy tale. A bit of a mess. I obviously wasn't on form that day. Nevertheless, I like his face, but he's going back to Wales. We've got a stag, which I had commissioned actually when I had a lot more money than I do now, and I was photographing the illustrations for the children's pictures books, and I needed a stag for the Greta the Great story and couldn't be bothered to make one. I had such a lot of work to do photographing those scenes for each of those 9 books that I just didn't have the time actually. So a lady in America, I can't remember her name now, Belinda something I think. Again, if I can remember her name, I'll put it in the description below. I think it was, her website was called Furry Tales or something, and she was pretty good at making animals, and she made this stag for me. And the antlers of Fimo, they're broken a little bit, although there's wire inside them, because Fimo just doesn't lend itself to be bent at all. It's pretty good furring though. I find covering things with fur almost impossible. I just haven't got the knack of it. So I was really pleased with that little stag, which is also going home to Wales. And then there's a little girl which who goes with the Duckworth people. I called her Tara. And I made her quite a few years after the initial batch of little people. In fact, most of the Duckworths were made only about 5 years ago, whereas most of the models were made about 10 years ago. And she is a little girl, supposed to be about 12 or 13, I'd say. I particularly like her little jacket. I do not know how. I think it was my mum and I made this. We made use of the natural edge of the fleece to mimic the bottom of the coat and sleeves. And although it's such a non-malleable fabric, this polyester fleece, we just somehow managed to make the perfect pattern. It fits her well. The zip is a chain from a cheap necklace we cut and glued onto the coat. So this is an attempt at a contemporary little figure. Very happy with her, but she is going back to Wales. And then we have this lot in this little basket. It looks like they're sort of sightseeing or something. And I knew that was going to happen. Happens quite regularly actually. So I'll just take the little basket down. I might take that to the new house because I might be able to put more people in that. Now this is a very happy little dwarf, or quite rotund dwarf actually, and his name is Happy, and he's got to come to the new house. I love him very much. This is Stan. He's meant to be scattering seeds because he's a sort of medieval agricultural worker, I guess. And so this hand holds his apron, in which there really are seeds and sand glued, and the other hand, if I can just balance this very awkward phone, which I can't, so the other hand is meant to be scattering the seeds. Again, he's fully posable, so if I had two hands I could show you. And he's got his little jerkin, his little leather, real leather. Maybe I shouldn't have used real leather. At the time, there was a really good shop in Salisbury, which was the nearest town to where we lived in the cottage in the New Forest, which had lots of scraps of leather. Or was it Ringwood? I can't remember. Oh no, it might have been in Wales even. And so fine that you could easily cut them for tiny outfits. And the wonderful thing, of course, about leather is you don't have to worry about fraying. Anyway, I think his name is Stan, and I love him so much. I love his kind of ugly face. His kind of yokelish, earthy, cloddish goodwill. So he can come. Well, who else fell out of the back? Oh, the chef. I really like the chef. Yes. I imagine he's got quite a fiery temper, as you can see by the eyebrows and slightly frowning eyes. I love his big tummy, his hat. Yeah, he has to come. Now Now this guy, I think he's called Hans or Fritz. He's meant to go along with Stan. Unfortunately, he's lost a leg. He's another sort of farm worker, labourer, and his nose broke. His nose broke when I was getting some models ready to go busking with. I never went busking, but his nose broke. It's such a shame because I was really pleased with his face before the nose broke. And because I don't have an oven here, there's no way I can make another nose and bake it unless I, well, once again, take it to my boyfriend's house and use the oven there. But the thing is, ideally you would bake the nose on the model, and I can't bake the whole model because I can't risk discolouring. I can't risk discolouring the clothes. I'll have to think what to do about him, so I'll have to put him over here. I think I even had the nose for a while and I kept it, but then I lost it, as you can understand. It was easy to do because it was so small. And oh, the farmer's wife. Yes, I love the farmer's wife. She actually reminds me of an aunt I've got, which is terrible. But just kind of the friendliness, and well, I better not say any more about that anyway. And yeah, she had a basket, but I've lost the basket. I like her little shoes, her big fat ankles, her plumpness, her goodwill, her teeth. I really like her teeth. Yeah, she can come. So on the next shelf down, we've got, I think this is called Merkel. Merkel is like a goblin. I don't think he's a pixie. He's not pretty enough to be a pixie. And I really like Merkel. I used a different type of clay to make him, not Fimo, and you can see I don't like it half as much. It's sort of almost transparent. But then I kind of got around the not nice effect by painting Merkel's face. So I think it's okay now. There's something in his eye. Is it a bit of glue? Dust or something? As I said, dusting these is difficult. Now, shall I keep Merkel? Shall I take him to the new place? I don't know. Oh, his thumb's missing. He's not a very happy looking model, but I like that about him. And I like his strange, bulbous, upturned eyes and his mouth. I'm not sure. Oh, I have to be ruthless. Okay, he can't come. Sorry, Merkel. Now we've got Jinx. Now, Jinx is a jester, as you can see. My mum and I went through a mini hell with his hat. Sewing his hat and making the pattern for it. And yes, he was difficult on many counts. Jinx has to come. He's a feat. Now, this is Izzy. I love Izzy. I love her very red hair, which is a very different colour to my red. It's like a very dark kind of, yeah, pinky red. And I love the colours of her outfit, the orange and the pink and the green. And I love her little face, the way her mouth, her top lip comes over her bottom, her freckles, the way she's not typically pretty, but I think she's pretty in a very wild and fresh sort of way. I imagine she's maybe Scottish, I think. Yeah. Now, shall I take Izzy? Oh, she's Meg Duck, one of Meg Duckworth's best friends. I have to be ruthless. So, unfortunately, Izzy has to go home. Now, Jim. Jim is, oh, he's just one of my favourites. He's supposed to be a little boy from the 30s. Very poor, raggedy jumper, shorts, boots. He must be about 6 or 7 because his teeth are a bit gappy. Jim just has to come, I'm afraid. Now, oh gosh, this is perhaps after Little Pixie my second favourite model. It's Wee Willie Winky, and he has little spotty boxer trunks, little old man slippers, and a nightshirt I'm very, very proud of, and a nightcap. He was holding a candlestick in this hand, which, like many of the accessories, I've lost, and his thumb has broken off sadly. But oh, Willie, you just have to come. Now, there is, oh yes, there's a little dwarf, Sleepy, I think. Yeah, oh, he has to come. I love his little face. I love his little lips and snub nose and raised eyebrows and, yeah, Sleepy. Mavis. Mavis, I'm not sure if Mavis is actually my favourite model. Besides loving the colour of her hair and clothes and the combination, I just love her face. It's not pretty, but it's kind of delectable. She's got quite a big nose for a little girl, and her top lip protrudes over her bottom. I imagine she has slightly buck teeth, and her hair is all wispy and fine, and oh, but she's just delectable. I want to eat her up. Then there is the woodcutters. I don't know, I just imagine this old lady. She's got really nice petticoat bloomers. I bothered to make her properly. She was one of the first 112 scale models I made, because initially I made them 124 scale, which means they were about, if this is, imagine 6 inches, imagine a man is 6 inches, well he is, then imagine I was trying to make adults about this size and children about this size, and then the tiny models this big, and I was trying to wig and clothe them, and I just couldn't do it to the level that was satisfying to me and the level I wanted to achieve. So thank goodness, before I did more than about 2 in 124 scale, I changed to 112 scale, and Clara, that's her name, Clara, is one of the first I did in 124 and 112 scale. I'm not very pleased with her apron. I made a bit of a mess of that, and her face, I think, yeah, it's been broken a little bit, but from the side it is quite good. I love Clara very much. Should I take her? I think because I'm being ruthless, she has to go home. Now, we have a very tiny little model who is kind of swinging on the light called, I think it's Miss Mary Banks. I love Mary because she's having a tantrum. You can see that whoever her mum is has quite a handful. I love the fact that her face is concentrated in such a tiny proportion of her head. And I love her wispy bunches, although they're not very good at all, really. And her dress, gosh, this was one of the most difficult dresses to make, and I can't remember what the material fabric is, but it was very expensive, and it's kind of a very pale shell pink. I think it's silk organza or something, but I don't know much about fabrics. Now, for me, this was very, very tiny. Her hands were extremely tiny to make. Her shoes were little metal shoes I bought from a doll's house shop and modelled her legs to fit into them, and then I painted them the same baby pink. Miss Mary Banks simply has to come. Then we have the fairy, which also has to come. I'm going to have to snip her off. She is an overweight fairy, and she is actually based on one of, was it 3 fairies in Walt Disney's Sleeping Beauty? Was it Sleeping Beauty? Yes. Yes, I think so. And wow, the work that went into this fairy is I think my mum and I tried making, well, at least about 3 different patterns for the dress. And unfortunately she's breaking now. Her little finger's stuck out there, but it's broken off. She's got a nice bit of cleavage going on. She reminds me of another one of my aunties. This is not saying much for my aunties. A different one now. Anyway, but I love this fairy. The wings I bought in some sort of craft shop. They were on some awful tacky kind of model. Yeah, the fairy has to come. In fact, I think I'll just leave her attached to this bulb and take the bulb, because in a rented place where I'm not allowed to hammer things into the wall, this would be handy to clip onto a shelf with some more light. So now there is another model here, and I can see she's broken, and it's Julia, I think. Julia, is her pearl necklace down there somewhere? Can't see the pearl. One pearl necklace is missing. I'll have to find it later. Julia is one of my few posh models. She's meant to be a lady from the 30s
I think 30. She's got, is it a cloche hat? One earring's come off. She's very severe, stylish looking. She's got her fur stole, a diamond ring, red nail varnish, little, the type of shoes women wore in the 30s. I have to give another shout out to my mum for this dress. This is green silk, gorgeous kind of emerald green silk. She sewed this, I presume by hand, and I remember her pleating this and pinning it to the arm of an armchair for it to set in these pleats. And what a little work of art this dress is. Julia, I just think she's too delicate to come. I really want her to come. But, oh, okay. I'll let her come and I'll mend her. And I'll find the pearl necklace there afterwards. Now, this is Min. She's a little Chinese girl. And I really love her face. I think she's really pretty. And I love the colours of her outfit. The orange of her slippers and the blue of her outfit. And the simplicity of her face. But she will have to go home to Wales, I think, because her one hand is broken. And her hair is getting really messy. And then we have, I love this guy. He's from the Duckworth series. He's, what is his name? Oh, I do love him so much. He'll have to come, even though he's missing an ear. Reg, I think. Reg, his name is. He's got such a gentle, lovely face. And then there's Pippin. Have I already said a Pippin? This sparky little chap is, as you can see, a pixie. And yeah, he's in pretty good nick, so he can come. And then moving up to this little cabinet here, where is the next little model? Oh, the Emperor. The Emperor has to come. I love him so much. I love his conceited face. I love his little teeth. I love his Russian crown and rings and gold slippers. Yep, he can come. Father Christmas definitely has to as well. Because if I do make an Instagram channel and just dedicate it to these little people, I think he could feature in quite a lot of posts. This is a map I made for him. He's trying to get to, where is he? Oh, the land of human beings. So we've got the North Star, North Pole, Toyland, we've got a sea monster, Fairyland, and Never Neverland, and something island, island. I've lost a square. I sort of tried to age it with coffee. Let me try and find the other square of the map. Aha, here it is. So what does that say? It says, oh, just island, island. I see, it's a joke on all the other types of land, but this really is just an island. Okay, so, and then we've got, this model doesn't have a name, he's missing a button, as you can see. On the website, I titled the model A Pinch of Snuff because he's sneezing and he looks like he's from the Restoration period or, 18th century. I'm not great with clothes and placing them actually, but in the days when they used to use snuff. I do love his face so much. I wonder why cameras just seem to focus perversely on the thing behind the obvious object you want them to focus on. I know this is only an iPhone, but even expensive cameras do this, I think. Anyway, Pinch of Snuff is coming. Then we've got a little boy, a little pixie called Blue. I think I called him Blue because I couldn't think of a name. And I like the blues of his outfit and the blue of his eyes. Oh, please focus. Please focus. What if I put it there? Well, it's focusing a bit more. Blue is really broken, as you can see. His hand, his foot is dropping. I really love him, but his belt is coming off, but he's too broken to come to the new flat. And that, I think, is all the little people, all the models. So wow, that is, my shelves are empty now. I'm just checking there's one I haven't missed because I like to scatter them around the place, really. Oh no, but I'll just take these two down. I haven't actually named these yet because they have to go home. I'll just check this. No, we've got him from there. Yeah, that's it. So I'm just going to have a break and have a drink, and then I'll come back. And oh, I knew there was something. Okay, in here. So this is bilberry, I think, and apple drop. I love those two, and they're in reasonably good condition, so they can come. Oh, don't smash the glass. And in the other bottle, there's or is this bilberry? Oh dear, the smallest model I ever made, and another little worry-looking pixie. Yeah, they can come too. So I'm going to put a box together. I mean, oh gosh, there's Algie. I knew I was missing someone. Algie's shy. He's just hiding behind here. Oh, I love him so much. Podgy, portly little Algie, but he's missing a hand. Ah, I love his little hat too. This was a t-shirt. You can see how the fabric of t-shirts lends itself really quite well to looking like miniature wool. So anyway, because Algie's broken, he has to go home. Now I'm going to put a box together in which to put these little people and these little people, and I'm going to have a drink, and then I'm going to come back and start talking you through oh gosh, I forgot all of these. Oh my goodness. Okay, so let's unhook this from the wall and bring it out. Now, some of my best models are in here. I put them in here to keep them safe. So we've got Greta from Greta the Great. That story I was telling you about, Michael. So Greta definitely has to come. Oh, Mother Cherry has to come. She's supposed to be a little pixie woman, fairy woman. I bothered to put quite a lot of work into her outfit. Oh, this is it Lottie? I love Lottie. She's looking a little bit worse for wear though, so she might have to go home. She's also one of Meg Duckworth's friends. Yeah, unfortunately I think Lottie will have to go home. Then we have another dwarf. This one is Nathaniel, I remember. He's made it in. This old lady is Lavinia. I think it's Lavinia. She is one of 3 old ladies that have tea or are staying or are somewhere in the Duckworth's bed and breakfast house. I do love her so much. Should I have her? Oh, okay, I'll have her. And then this little old lady is a tiny, tiny old lady who I do love. I can't remember what her name is. Oh yes, Little Old Woman. I just called her Little Old Woman. And she's meant to be one of those minute and tiny little old ladies you see. And she's obviously lost a few teeth there. I mean, intentionally, her mouth is sunken. She has a very long silvery plait. And she was holding the most lovely little black teapot and a cup and saucer. It wasn't a teapot actually, it was a little black cast iron kettle, which is more in keeping with her poorness. Oh, what is his name? Harvey. Is it Harvey? I absolutely love Harvey. He's so endearing. He has to come. Oh, and this is Little Pete. Little Pete's legs has fallen off. I'll fix it. But Little Pete is just going to bed, or has just got up to bed, or out of bed, and can't sleep because he's in his pajamas and slippers. He is one of my most favourite little models, and he is Meg Duckworth's little brother. He has to come. Then there's a worried little old lady, and I do love her so much. A little peasant woman by the seam of it. This was the first model. He's called Mr. Dyer. Oh no, Mr. Hawthorne. And he was the first 112 model I made, and I was so delighted when when I'd finished, because I didn't know I could make clothes before, and it was really complicated, this outfit. I was using real tweed, real velvet, real corduroy, real velvet. This is not tweed, but it looks like tweed, and I even did little cufflinks, and he was holding an umbrella, but it's gone now. He's a fairy person, a pixie person, that's why, hence the long ears. Yeah, Mr. Hawthorne can come. This little girl, I love her. She's so pretty. This ribbon was going over her hair, but it's gone, lost. Now, is she Lara? Tara? She's Tara. Right, she's Tara. Her hands are very big and clumsy, and her legs aren't great, but I love the colour combination, and I love her face. I don't think she can come, though, because she's a bit raggedy. So, unfortunately, she has to go back to Wales. Now, this is, gosh, I think his name is William, and he's lost an arm, which is pretty tragic, really, because he was well nigh on perfect. Every angle of this little pixie was how I wanted it to be. I had to make him in parts separately, because otherwise he would have just gone to mush in my hands as I held him. But I love every little bit of him, every toe, every finger, his kneecaps, his tummy, his wee little face. Now, I could take him and just photograph him from that side, I guess, and make another arm sometime. Michael was holding a hot water bottle here. It's a shame I've lost all the accessories for these. He's in an all-in-one and was going to bed. I found this dear little, his mouth is open because he was sucking his thumb. This little felt square with the motif of a bird on some, I think, doll's item of clothing. You can see, though, his foot is broken, and why I can't fix it is because it's encased in this all-in-one. I can't get in to glue it, I'd have to cut it, and the seams are really neat. I don't actually know how the hell I managed to make those seams like that. I don't know. I don't know what to do about Michael. I don't know. This will have to go home anyway, this little box here. The mirrored box. Oh, Michael. Michael, Michael, Michael. What am I going to do with you? Oh, I'll take him. So hard parting with these things. Right, I'm now going to have a drink. And I'll come back and talk through what I'm keeping from the rest of the things, and also in the process talk about books that I love when I come across them. So I'll see you soon.